first go ahead. Those guys, bring it on. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. We know Michael's not perfect.
Poor Michael.
What I'm saying is, if Michael and you and I and everybody else out here genuinely tries to be good, but they just don't have the particular worldview that you do, and your congregation does, do we still get in, Do we still get into the club? Do we get into the big, great beyond after we die? Because if we don't, I think there's something seriously flawed with your views. I think they're discriminatory. I think they're homophobic. I think they might be on some levels racist. Because you are making the defining characteristics of a very exclusive club. And if I don't somehow accept Christ into my life before I die, why should I be damned for any of these other people of Muslim faith or Hindu faith or Sikh faith? Why should they be damned for all time if they are in fact genuinely good people? And so I'm basically going to finish up here with a quote from Robert Grace Ingersoll. He said, "Humanity is the grand religion, and no God can put a man in hell in another world who has made a little heaven in this. God cannot make a man miserable if that man had made somebody else happy. God cannot hate anybody who is capable of loving anybody. Humanity, that word embraces all there is." Thank you.
Professor Boot. As always with these discussions, it ultimately comes down to just that. Is God just? See, the topic supposedly we were debating tonight is does God exist? But that's not Dr. DiCarlo's problem, you see. He's open on that question. What he doesn't like is he doesn't like God because he doesn't like God's justice, God's definition of justice. That's what comes out and has come out again and again. The issue of morality. And as with most skeptics in my experience, the issue is not a lack of evidence to believe in God. It's the desire to live as we want to live without God interfering with our lives in a way that we feel is inappropriate because it limits our freedom in some way or another. Every worldview, whatever you believe, has a point of departure. To call Christianity intolerant is ridiculous. Every worldview that claims truth status has a point of departure. Even Jainism ultimately will say you cannot say that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So it's impossible to assert any true proposition and be tolerant of the opposite if we're going to say that there is such a thing as truth. Heaven and hell. This again seems to be the issue here. What of heaven and hell? The biblical conception of heaven and hell and the justice of God is that no man will want to be in the presence of God who doesn't love and worship God. Heaven would be hell to the humanist and the atheist. Hell is their heaven.
That's right.
Because it's the perfection in degree of what we want now in life. If our hearts and lives and minds are turned towards God, His righteousness, His truth, His justice, God's presence is heaven to us.
That's it.
It's not heaven